research, the work that's gone into this, and a bit about the story.
Sure. Well, the book took about 2 years to research, traveling to Spain, reading everything I could about Spain. Antonio, got to hear you have Sagrada Familia, this incredible church that is really a shrine to evolution, a shrine to the organic world. It's got giant lizards and snails crawling up the outside of it.
Wow. And it's called Origin. And we've, of course, got superstar Robert Langdon is back in again.
Number 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Number 5. Just tell us about, so where, this is very much about evolution, isn't it? Where we came from, where we're going.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that the book starts at the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, this spectacular setting where there's a futurist who has come there to make an announcement about a scientific discovery that he thinks will shake, if not destroy, the foundations of religion. It has to do about where we come from, where we're going, and whether or not God will survive science.
And how does the story then? I know you don't want to give it away because you want people to read the book, but from what we know about Robert Langdon beforehand, how does he sort of develop through?
Well,
the book?
I mean, if you know about Robert Langdon, you know it's going to be a miserable evening for him.
Yeah, we know it's not going to go well.
It's going to be a long night. There's going to be codes and ciphers and symbols and a whole lot of travel.
And he runs around the world trying to solve
with a beautiful, wonderful woman that he probably will never get to be with, and that's his lot in life.
Tell us about the billionaire at the centre of this, because because it's very topical as well.
You know, it's funny. I mean, if you look at the celebrities today, a lot of them are industrialists, futurists, people like Kurzweil and Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. And it's funny, this character, Edmund Kirsch, is kind of, the name Kirsch is kind of a blend of Kurzweil and Musk, a little bit.
You brought it together. You talked about the research that you've done. You talked about modern events as well. I wonder, as a man who's spent a lot of time in Spain, not just for research of this book, but also in your past as well, what do you make of the events that we're talking about all the time now, and this independence in Catalonia and the sort of referendum, and then potentially a declaration of independence? Yeah,
I mean, these are strange days. I love Catalonia. I love Spain. I hope they work it out. And this is just a sign of the times. This is happening all around the world, and it's a little bit heartbreaking, but I'm sure they'll sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, there seems to be quite a long way to go on that. Just talk about, as well, the research, because I know you do a lot of research, and it's beautifully observed, the descriptions of where you go. You spend time in the places you're talking about, don't you?
I do. Oh, I love Spain. I went to University of Seville. I spent a year there, and I've been back. I've been to Spain more than any other country in the world, other than my own, obviously. And it is this amazing place that has, I write about the old and the new. Spain is very, very ancient in its Catholic underpinnings, but also very, very progressive in its scientific thinking. One of the fastest supercomputers in the world happens to be in Barcelona. So it's this great mix of old and new.
And once again, you sort of, you know about controversy, don't you? You're talking about technology and religion here, aren't you? And the kind of, the discussions between one and the other, aren't you?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the book essentially asks whether or not God will survive science. And it seems like sort of a blasphemous question. But historically, God does not survive science. That we used to have a whole pantheon of gods to describe the natural world. We used to look at the growing tides and say that's Poseidon, but eventually science came along and said actually it's not, it's the moon and gravity. And so the question really is, are we naive to think that our gods of today will survive growing science? Will they be here in 500 years or 100 years?
I was listening to a discussion on this on the radio a few months ago, and it was a scientist who's a sort of AIDS expert and based at, I think it was Liverpool University. He re-quoted the Einstein quote of many years ago, saying, "The more I study science, the more I believe in God." It's a debate that will continue to rage.
Of course, it's this cyclic thing. I grew up very, very religious. My mother was a church organist. I turned pages for her as a child in church, became very religious, eventually moved away from religion, went into the world of science. And the deeper you get into science, you're absolutely right. It starts to come back. You've got physicists who are looking at the subatomic realm, having religious experiences and saying, oh, maybe there is something going on here that's bigger than science.
Right. Tell us about the movies as well. This will be a movie, will it?
I'm going to leave that to Sony Pictures. But,
I think we can probably say
yes. These are great locations. It's a fun story and would play out beautifully on the screen.
Does it change the way you write?
It's a great question. It doesn't. I spend, long before Tom Hanks, played Robert Langdon. I'm a huge fan of that. Robert Langdon was just in my head. He was just an imaginary character, and that's the way I'll always have him.
You mentioned your mum. Your dad was a maths teacher as well.
Yes.
I mean, and there's loads of numbers and codes.
Yeah.
Was that a big influence on you growing up and continues to be
huge.
so?
My dad made math fun. He's a great teacher. On Christmas morning, when we came down for our Christmas presents, there was a code on the Christmas. No presents, a code. And you'd solve the code, and it would send you to maybe the refrigerator. You open up, and there's another code. It send you out to the garage. And you go all over the house. When you come back, your presents are there. And code breaking has always been fun for me.
And just tell us about technology itself, because are you a fan of technology? You have a pretty technologically advanced car, don't you?
I do. I actually have Edmund Kirsch's car that drives itself, and that's taken some. It's taken some getting used to.
So
you start sort of hovering over the wheel, and finally you can just relax and say, I guess it's got it covered.
Okay, so you're relaxing behind the wheel. You literally, you're not concentrating. What happens? I've never driven or not driven one of these.
Well, I mean, you're not supposed to not concentrate.
Right.
I have been known to read or check my email, but it's very safe. And there will come a day when it's illegal for humans to drive cars because machines do it better.
And do you just? I mean, I've never. So you just put in where you want to go, and it takes you.
More or less. I mean, that technology is coming. It's
right.
Essentially, you get on the road and it will just stay in its lane and go whatever speed it's supposed to go.
Well,
I suppose because
of what
we're used to, I can feel the concern.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that. Nobody's going to go out on the road. I'm sure that doesn't happen over here at all.
Thank you very much, and all the best for the book as well. It is another fascinating story.
Dan Brown, thank you very much. Lovely to see you as well. And the book is called Origin.
Now, it's not